Welcome to Choosing an Excerpt. What are excerpts, besides a really weird word to say out loud that I'm noticing now? Excerpts are powerful little passages. They are often the only thing that will convince a reader either to buy your book or to click away and look for another book. Excerpts are similar to taglines or teasers in that they are a little snippet of text that entices readers to click that Buy Now button. The difference is that an excerpt is longer than a tagline. Taglines are 1 to 2 sentences long, and they're usually a summary of your book, but sometimes they can be a direct quote from it. An excerpt can be anywhere from a few paragraphs to a full scene or even a chapter. Where would you use them? You use them on blog tours or guest posts so that other authors can post a little snippet of your book for their readers. You can use them for authors or bloggers to promote your book on their sites. You can use them on your own website, on your Facebook page, on your Amazon's book description page, which is found on Author Central. You can find your book on Author Central, and there's a little excerpt box there, and you can paste a little bit of your book so that it shows up on your Amazon description page. You can also use them in the back matter of your other books or in your newsletter, and probably in various other places. So to choose an excerpt, it's really important that you choose a good excerpt because this is how people are going to decide to buy your book or not. So firstly, avoid scenes that have too much unknown information. Several character names or insider details like magical elements or historical information that you'd only understand if you read the whole novel, this isn't good for an excerpt. Someone who has never seen your book before needs to be able to start reading and immediately be drawn into the story. You don't want them wondering what the heck is going on. Also, you want to start with action. What's the overall tone of your novel? Is it a romance? Then choose something romantic and swoony. Is it an action thriller? Choose an exciting action-packed scene. Or is it humorous? Then choose something funny. The excerpt you choose should be representative of the tone of the entire novel. You don't want to choose a sad scene if there's only one sad scene and the rest of your book is comical, and vice versa. You also want to leave them wanting more. Cliffhangers are your friends with excerpts. A lot of people don't like books that end on a cliffhanger, but an excerpt that ends on one is perfect. So don't end the passage at a nice, neat little conclusion where the reader will say, oh, well, that was fine, and then move on. You want to leave your reader desperate to know what happens next. So here's an example of a bad excerpt. It's from my book, Ella's Twisted Senior Year, and it's actually the very beginning of chapter 1. It's the very first sentence from chapter 1, which is fine for a chapter 1 because you're diving into the book. But for an excerpt, it's terrible. And I'm going to go ahead and read it to you really quickly. Senior year art class is supposed to be an easy credit. So why is Miss Cleary standing over me, hand on her hip, and a look on her face that says she thinks my watercolor should be able to cure smallpox when I'm finished? I bite my lip and look up at her cat-eye glasses, the paintbrush wavering in my grip. Is there a problem? I ask. Her lips press together and she smiles, and it's one of those expressions that you'd give to a 2-year-old who wants to feed themselves, but they'd only make a mess so you can't let them have the spoon. All of your flower stems are exactly the same, she says, bending her hand in an arc. You know flowers in real life aren't always perfect like that. I lift my shoulders. A drop of green paint falls into the paper. Can't my painting be a representation of perfection? I ask, figuring it sounds like something arty to say. She chuckles and moves on to torture the next student. I dip my brush back in the paint and drag it down the paper, making another perfect flower stem. Here's the thing. I am not an artist, but I can paint my nails with a moderate level of accuracy, only needing to peel off some of the paint from my cuticles for the next day or so. And I'm also great at making grilled cheese. And once I'm in culinary school, I'll figure out a way to become Texas's greatest cupcake baker, because right now, I'm not exactly wonderful at that either, and that's my passion. So except for art, I'm doing okay in the skills department. Art is just my easy credit, if only Miss Cleary would see it that way. Now, while this excerpt, let me back up. So while this excerpt is, it's not bad writing, at least I don't think it's bad writing because it's my writing. It's cute and it's a nice introduction to the book, but this doesn't make you really excited to keep reading, especially because this is a young adult novel or young adult romance novel. And if you want to read a good young adult romance, there's absolutely no romance in this chapter right here, this little scene. Like, who cares? You're not swoony. There's no book boyfriends yet. There's nothing to make you keep reading. So even though your first chapter is a very important chapter for the book as a whole, including your first chapter as an excerpt is usually a bad idea. So here's an example of a good excerpt, which I chose from further down in the book. Okay, you ready to hear my reading again? Here we go. Ethan holds up a bottle of vodka and 2 shot glasses. Get over here, he says, setting the glasses on a nearby end table. Let's toast to how freaking awkward this is. I walk over, but I don't reach for the shot glass. I give him a pointed look, stalling for time while my brain tries to figure out what's happening here. So you're a drinker now? He throws his head back and downs the shot. Nope, not really. Kind of seems like it, I say with a snort as he pours himself another one. He holds out the other glass to me. You gonna let me drink alone? I'm thinking about it, I say, lifting the glass and holding it up at eye level. This is totally illegal, Ethan Poe. He shrugs. I'll be 18 in 2 months. I down the shot in one gulp. Still not legal. Ugh, the vodka burns my throat and stings my eyes. I try to act like it doesn't affect me. Ethan grins. It's legal in Europe. I shove my glass out to him, motioning for a refill. This stuff is gross, but if it takes the edge off my being around my enemy, then I guess I'll have to down another shot. We're not in Europe. Ah, you're just as snarky as I remember. He takes my hand, holding the glass to keep it steady while he pours another shot. The feeling of his fingers over mine sends a jolt through my body that's stronger than anything in his bottle of vodka. How is it possible to hate someone so much, yet still want them to like you? So this is a fun excerpt for me because it kind of gives you a feel for the book, and you see some flirty banter, and you see some of her introspection at the end. So you know that he's her enemy, but she also still likes him and still kind of wants him to crush on her. So to me, this would be a cute excerpt to use for your book. So here's a tip. When using excerpts for advertising or promotion, consider switching it up between a few different ones. You might not hook a reader on your first try, but your second one might be the one that gets them. So go through your manuscript, comb through, highlight everything that you think would make a good excerpt, copy them all out and paste them into a document for excerpts. And then be sure to save them so you don't have to go through and do this every time you need an excerpt. And just try different ones out. So maybe, a few weeks before your book releases, post one excerpt. And then a week later, post another one, and a week later, post another one. And you might get, a varying degree of responses or comments or replies from different ones. And whichever one your readers really seems to like, that could be the one that you leave on your website permanently or the one that you give out to people to use as your main excerpt. So there's my wrap up. And if you have any questions, again, ask us on Facebook. And if you're not sure which excerpt to use, I would be more than happy to read through them for you and help you choose them. So you can send me a message or you can ask me on Facebook. So happy excerpt hunting.